Christina Universe Citizen presents New Era Religion at 37, Part 2, April 26, 2022. Ever including the cosmic integrities of the stars. Continuing from episode 36, Part 1, with overlapping paragraphs. When we are encouraged to unquestioning exercise tolerance of the residual inaccuracies of the reenacting articulations, simply because historically the schemes represent long-standing belief complexities as of greater importance than a cosmic accounting, this tends to promote educated ignorance and inadvertently cultivates the slave mentality conditioning. This continues with such devastating consequences as increasing prison populations evidence that particular adaptation to the residual errors. The R and J factors of the PRJWBCS, politics, religion, justice, war, belief, complex schemes, build up momentum, gaining almost undetectable influences as growing population numbers add more tolerance for the relative insanity we seem to be projecting as the inherited detriment is carried over into every new generation. Relative insanity thrives wherever delusional emulations are permitted, similarly to a child's emphatic wishes to control everyone and anything without experiencing all that growing, learning, knowing entails, which is especially egregious when personality disorders compound the interacting, intertransacting, interrelating, moment-to-moment disordering. Vivid examples of human behavior to every degree of scale are shown on Discovery Channel's documentaries and docudramas. The real human events are produced with incorporating features that nevertheless reveal a perplexing conundrum almost as if contagious that must have taken roots at some points of regenerating complexity relative to defensiveness as systems were not yet differentiated from offensive schemes. Humans are reactionary in every case, but destructively inclined, apparently, when the least mature, most impressionable, and immature are permitted to rule the roost, as the delusions may well apply to the PRJWBCS correlating to the words tolerance and magnitude. Bucky Fuller's astute observations in his lifetime could not go deep enough, as our evolution continues beyond his profoundly insightful wisdom. This is true for every newborn generation who naturally takes things from where the old generations leave off, or contemporary populations insist on carrying over the inherited detriments regardless how destructive the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies can be. It is each time hoping to reduce the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation that our newest generations are perpetually responsible for. Synergetics operational construction method employs the constant radius, identifying every point on the circumference and every point on the internal radii. Of course, this seems impossible to fathom, to picture, in any correlation to what we are taught to think reality is. The shift from educated ignorance and or incurious resignation to holistic comprehension is subtle, as we learn of the generalized universe's minimum structural systems, polyhedron, a tetrahedron. It is a contextual parameter for initiating a wholly, WHOLLY, new learning environment. A whole, WHOLE, new learning environment provides a referential system with which humans can produce and consciously project, constructively and operationally, as real experience augmenting operational systems. How otherwise is this expected to be accomplished without a system in mind? That system must have 4 vertexes, 4 triangular faces, and 6 vectors as the basic topological inventory of the constant relative abundance is with which the geometry of thinking is conceptualized using physical brain cerebral circuitry design integrity and metaphysical mind that every healthy human apparently is endowed with from birth by the eternal mind's design of us, our evolution species, humans of its mind. We can feel hesitant to refer to this geometric model's conceptuality in a world of disputatious cultivation, where argument to motivate strong opinions is part and parcel of the governing system's methodology. It justifies the argument as a debate without factoring in the missing system's operational field complex, to which the most economical way of behaving relative to unity and self in universe refers once informed of it. To make matters more complicated is the potential ridicule that sets in by those who know the least about the minimum structural system, and that it takes 3 points to define a plane. Logically, the 4th point cannot be in the same plane, since the event field's topology and geometry disclose the tetrahedron as the same conceptuality of the insideness and outsideness that corresponds with the reality of the operational experience. Operationally speaking, the conceptuality of events as integrals of the anticipatory experience, one's metaphysical intellect as a function of the eternal omniscient mind's generalized universe, recognizes the minimum structural system. The minimum structural system is also a conceptuality of the minimum thinkable set as the basic unit of measure to which systemic thought refers. It permits systemizing functions, albeit in the barely cognized anticipated escape from the womb of permitted ignorance, which was devoid of this tetrahedral system, and yet professes to be the cradle of civilization, from whence all those are factors emulatively result. As Fuller wrote, humans can never get out of universe. We can only get out of system. How can you get out of a system when you are mind-boggled in schemes such as the PRJWBCS, while expecting to reenact the relative insanity to the point of no return? Obviously, the generalized universe with its DNA-RNA codes is distinctly different from humanly contrived algorithms, so we must not be discouraged from exploring human events and energy events to learn more about the most concise universal language that does not first require politics, religion, justice, war, belief, complex schemes, the PRJWBCS, and social media platforms to censor what human curiosity is trying to work out, to better understand, to eventually comprehend evolution environment. They cannot, in principle, promote tolerance of as yet to be dissected, erroneously contrived content, mindless of the, in quotes, the omni-orderly integrity of omnidirectionally and infinitely extensible, fundamentally coordinating closest packing of unit radius spheres, end quote. Those uniradius spheres accommodate seemingly remote spherical nucleations. They expand radially into omni-intertangency. Synergetics 1006.14. Why, in this 21st century new era thinking, must human intellection, our individual consciousness evolution, intentionally be controlled by algorithms of a differently coordinated thought and language that redirects focuses from intertransacting energy synergy environments? The algorithm set of instructions and commands written thus may not be the slightest interested in forming a more perfect union and ultimately manifesting a true democracy. But we have these synergetics, geometries, the geodesics that are accurately measured, to which our anticipatory design science prospects for humanity can conceptualize, systemize, knowing that thoughts are systemic, and so is the minimum thinkable set referential to the generalized universe's polyhedrons, that we are technically and literally liberated from algorithms, at least as thought and language choose a differently directed course, starting with the generalized universe, which includes the cosmic integrities of the stars. Thank you for your undivided attention, if that happens to be the case, and your continued interest in this important research project. Hoping to manifest a true democracy.